What's up, RBC? I got a packed show today. We'll have Michelle coming out. We're going to have Greg Russell talk about his transition from ultra marathoning to riding, his biggest bike packing trip, his first bike packing trip. We're going to have a interactive training session with RWGPS where I show you a short clip on how to do an event within RWGPS as a ride leader. And then, of course, just signing in and kind of getting used to that. We'll be able to take questions. We're going to have DJ Sadiq in the background running assets. Whoop, whoop. So he's going to be doing stuff like that while I'm talking and trying to focus on the camera and my guest speakers. So he's going to be doing asset management behind the scenes, something we're trying to work on and be a little bit more interactive to make a more engaging show for you guys. So the first person I'm going to bring on is Michelle Hampton. She's going to be talking about GMR, the awesome anniversary ride. So show her some love in the comments. Her and Helen did a great job along with everybody else supported her. What's up, Michelle?
Hey, RBC. Good to see everybody. So what are we talking about first? The anniversary ride. Wow, that was an awesome anniversary ride. I tried to get a head count. Yeah, not really. Let's see, guesses. I think for the metric century, we were guessing about 130. For the shorter ride, the 28-mile ride, maybe 30. I've heard different numbers. Combine them all. Did we hit 160? I don't know. But a nice big crowd to hang out for lunch afterwards. If you missed it, I'm sorry. It was a fun route. It was a fun ride. I think we all had a blast. We do plan on keeping the anniversary ride with the supported SAG stops as our big ride of the year. I mean, RBC has a lot of rides throughout the year, but that's going to be one of our biggest ones. So if you missed it, please, next year, 132nd. This weekend is an incredible weekend. It's the 4th of July weekend, Saturday. The weather in Glendora, if you're going to do the Glendora Mountain Road with us, the high for Glendora is a high of 86 at 3 o'clock. Well, you'll be back to your car long before that. I haven't checked the weather at the actual lodge, but I'm thinking when we get up there, we'll be in the low 70s. Some of us are going to be stopping at the lodge, hanging out. We usually hang out and have breakfast there. Come on up and get an egg burrito. Some people will skip breakfast and go all the way up to the top to the ski lifts. I have never done that. I don't plan on ever doing that. We are rolling at 7 o'clock. We had to move our start location. We have a traditional location that's a couple miles from the bottom at a big Stater Brothers shopping mall, but we got kicked out last year. They were going to tow our cars. So last year we moved over to Glendora High School. And so we didn't get rolling till like 7:20 because we all had to move our cars. Well, we're just going to start at Glendora High School. Warning, it's a great parking lot. It's right there at the base of the mountains. There's no bathroom there. So if you think you need a bathroom, either run and find a bush or stop somewhere prior to parking in that parking lot. Roll time is 7 o'clock. So if you've never done Glendora Mountain Road, it's beautiful. It's a 5,000-foot climb. I think the entire route's about 45 miles round trip. You can check the route. It's shut down to cars. The highway is shut down to cars for the entire weekend because it is the 4th of July. Normally, we regroup at the shed, which is halfway. And that's about the worst of the steeper climb. After the shed, the road does flatten out a bit and becomes a little bit more rolly. So it's easier for people to stay together. If you're an A cyclist, if you're a B cyclist, if you're a C cyclist, if you're super casual, come do it. Doesn't matter. I think last year we had 35, 40 people. We should have a very big crew, especially since the weather this year's incredible. I think this will be one of the, definitely the best 4th of July GMRs I've ever done. So hope to see you there. One other thing, just to mention ride leaders at the end of tonight, Andrew's going to train us how to move our routes away from Facebook over to a calendar, Ride with GPS. He's going to show us how to do that. Facebook has become too crowded. Getting too many people complaining that they're scrolling and scrolling, trying to find the ride for that evening or that morning, and it's just buried in all of our stuff. That's a sad problem to have, but hey, it's because we're such a big club and we're so full of activity. So I guess it's a good problem, but we have a solution.
Yeah, good problem to have, and we have a solution. That's right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put Michelle backstage. All right, so Glendora Mountain Road, for some of you guys that don't know, that's kind of like I don't want to say it's a pinnacle ride, but definitely when you're progressing through your bike journey, it's one of the things to mark off your list. It's a good climb, beautiful views. There's going to be a lot of people, and she always runs a great route when she's bringing people together to do that. And you can always go at your own pace. Obviously, when you're doing longer climbs like that, everybody kind of goes at their own pace anyways. So yeah, Facebook, they're constantly changing things and how they interact with stuff. So you can click on something, you're looking for a ride. We get thousands of messages a year now where it's like, where's the ride? Where's the ride? Where's the ride? And so now at the end of this, after we interview Greg Russell, we're going to do an interactive thing that shows you can bring your comments on, and I'm going to walk you through how to do all of that. And it'll actually be less work for you as a route leader because you don't have to copy, paste, all that stuff. You create an event and you pull from a drop down that's already in our existing library, and it pops up, and then everybody will be able to see that view. That link stays permanent, and you're going to see that too. So yeah, right there on the RWGPS. Thank you, DJ Sadiq. All right, so back to announcements. I guess the first thing to do is to talk budget, that boring thing. Let you guys know that we're not out buying gold bicycles. We're just a volunteer board that's trying to do the best we can with what we got. So go ahead and pull that budget back up, Sadiq. So right now, I'm going to take off the budget here. You can see we were in the negative, but thanks to some of the awesome members and some donations, this is what we have. And we're at a very, very slight surplus for the year. So this is for the whole year. So we're kind of just breaking even. And the way we get through most of the budget stuff is, people doing donations with things that pop up with rides, because we do get surprise stuff. You can go ahead and take that down, Sadiq. So just to be mindful, if you guys have suggestions and stuff, when we do these things, as you know, on the news and everywhere else, all the costs are up. So every time we do an event, the anniversary ride was really, really fun. And we had games, we had giveaways, we had, a bunch of different stuff to bring people together. And like Eric mentioned, we had 2 people from the gravel route too, because we didn't have like an official gravel route until it was like really, really late. Gold bikes are the best. So that's, kind of where we're at. So this is the first time we've ever shared a budget, because it's like, where are the dues going? Well, like this platform that we're using currently, there's a cost for it. And pretty much everything we do, the website and everything else, there's a cost for it. So we're just trying to do that. So I'm going to bring out guest speaker Greg Russell. And I think he may be muted, so you're going to have to mute.
Whoop. I'm here.
What's up, Greg? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Live the dream.
Woo.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your transition from ultra marathons to riding bikes.
Well, I have been a runner since I ran cross country in high school a very long time ago. And over the last decade or so, I got into ultra marathons and love running. I absolutely love being out all day, doing just big days in the mountains, moving through wilderness areas and things like that. But over time, just became really riddled by injury, Achilles tendon problems, tears in my gastrocnemius and things like that. Just problems. No matter how I altered my training, no matter how I tried to avoid them, they just kept popping up. So kind of entered COVID in a pretty discouraged way. And, after a lot of thought, I just kind of realized there's there's more than one way to move through the mountains, and kind of got back into cycling. I used to do quite a bit of cycling when I was in high school and stuff like that. I grew up in New Mexico, and just picked a bike back up after almost a quarter of a century. So.
And for those of you guys riding, there's a lot of us actually. I don't know if it's a majority, but there's a lot of us. This includes me. I have a bad knee. That's how I got into cycling. There's a lot of us that have tried to escape a different type of injury. And we had a doctor, a physician, or someone who does physical therapy say, hey, try bicycling. It's low impact. And so there's a lot of people that are like, why are you so into bicycling? And it's also because I had to work stuff out myself. Church counseling is how I work stuff out, but I needed a space to work things out. So my son's diagnosis of being autistic and all the things that brought, all the things that take up your time. And I'm like, I needed to get out. And so when people are riding, just keep that in mind, is we're all trying to get out, have a good time. And you don't know what someone's going through when they're coming up to a bike ride too. So always a good reminder of being welcoming. I think our club is good at that. I'm just encouraging us to continue to be good. So you're, like you said, you are finding a different way to work your way through the mountains. And you've shown, we're going to put up some really cool landscape photography that you do. How are those things connected? That's a beautiful shot up. Looks like Joshua Tree in the snow.
Yeah. I also got into landscape photography when I moved to California for graduate school. I guess in 2002, I was kind of starting to get into photography just a little bit, and one of my graduate school professors at UCR is a really big nature photographer. And so I started talking to him and saved up and bought a camera, and it kind of became a little bit of an obsession for me. So traveling around and again, backpacking, hiking, trying to find, unique wilderness areas and just beautiful vistas to photograph. One of my current projects right now is to photograph every wilderness area in Riverside County. There's 19 federally designated wildernesses that have borders within Riverside County, and I'm almost done with them. I just have a little bit left to go. Because it is a federally designated wilderness, there's no wheeled vehicles, so no bikes are allowed. It's all foot travel. And kind of one of the selling points to my wife when I bought a gravel bike and for bikepacking, which we'll talk about in just a couple of minutes, was I said, some of these areas would be easier to at least get to if I had a bike that I could ride to. I have yet to actually do that. And my wife has made note of that a few different times. But for the most part, I think it's a great way to move, again, just kind of move through the world. Whether you're on foot or on bike, I think we see the world at a little bit of a slower pace than when we're in a car. And it makes us a little bit more observant, I think, which maybe is something that we all need to be able to do sometimes. So for me, they go hand in hand that way because they're just different ways of seeing the world. And again, I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Like one of the biggest things, even with road riding, when I started with RBC, is I really knew more about my city. There's places and streets where it's like, I didn't realize this street was so smooth, or that this street even existed. Or was a cut through here, on and being able to interact with people. Most people don't interact in a positive way, at least in the car with another person, where it's possible on a bike. And for the most part, works out great. So tell us a little bit. You alluded to bikepacking. What was your first bikepacking trip? We got some pictures of your.
So I decided to go big, to the so-called holy grail of bikepacking, which is Catalina. I think that's the one everybody really sees as one of the gems of Southern California for bikepacking. So in April, loaded up the bike and got on a boat and went and spent a couple of days on Catalina. And it was.
What brought you to Catalina? So I've done Catalina too. There's a ton of things. One, for those of you guys watching, you do have to purchase a ticket for you and for your bike.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have
$7. I think it's $7 for your bike.
Okay. And then you need to have the fitness, of course, depending on which one you do. If you're climbing out of Catalina, it's pretty steep. So know that. Do your research. We have that route actually in our RBC library, depending on how you want to do it. And you landed in Two Harbors.
I did. Yeah. Originally, my wife was going to come with me, but plans changed and she wasn't able to come that weekend. So I ended up going by myself, but went into Two Harbors, camped at Two Harbors, and then the next day I rode over to Avalon. So it was a really, really short trip. There's definitely not a flat road on that entire island. If there is, it's the one from Two Harbors up to Parsons Landing. But other than that, there's not a flat road on that island. So, really low gearing is very strongly recommended, and definitely some fitness too, some climbing.
Yeah, I would say mountain bikes, if you guys don't have like a gravel bike like we do, and when we say low gearing, it's really low. I'm running a 32/48, 32 up front and a 48 tooth in the back. So really low. You want to be below 20 tooth gear inches. And you have a custom frame bag too with that little bird. Is there a story behind that?
Oh, just being from New Mexico, that one really kind of struck. The artist is a New Mexican artist who did that. It's a Rogue Panda bag, but she commissioned some of her work with Rogue Panda. So she's a New Mexican artist, and I won't tell you what the title of the print is. I'm not sure I can say it on here, but it's just really struck a chord with me. I really like the Southwest New Mexico art and stuff. So.
Oh, there you go. Good job, Eric Lewis. So if you're as much of a beast as Eric and you're 55 or older, you can get a senior discount on the boat fare. Good looking out. And funny story about Eric, I was with him and that guy did not secure his jacket. So moral of that story is secure your jacket if you're bike packing. His jacket got sucked into his rotor, and we've never had to pull out something out of a bike rotor, your brake, that was that difficult before, but that really thin jacket material, that boy got it sucked right up in there. And oh man, was it something else. All right. So, and then of course, one of the big things in Catalina is you can see buffalo or bison. I can't remember the distinction. Bison. They were moved out there, Hollywood film, and now they're just doing their thing and making babies out there. So I need to adjust my light.
Oh, they're out there for sure. They have everything out there. And I think sometimes people think there aren't rattlesnakes, but you have to be careful of rattlesnakes out in Catalina. I've been out to Catalina a few different times. I used to work with a Boy Scout troop a long time ago here in Riverside, Troop 2, if anybody's familiar with the Scouts. And we did a trip out of White's Landing where we kayaked around the entire island over the course of a week. And of course, I've been to Avalon a few different times since I've lived in Southern California. But it was my first time really seeing the interior of the island and kind of going back to that notion of just kind of slowing down and seeing things. I was astonished by the range of plant life and things like that I saw, going up through Middle Ranch, there's a little pine forest up above Middle Ranch and stuff like that. Yeah, I would never expect that to see that on Catalina, but really just remarkable island ecology that you see out there. So very, very cool.
Yeah, unique wildlife like the Catalina fox, and you're right. Like it's just a tiny island, and it seems like you go through like a couple of different ecosystems that feel very, very different. It's like pine forest, desert, plains, cactus. It's all within a very, very small area.
Yeah, it's really remarkable.
So what's your biggest bike packing trip?
Well, that would be the one that I just finished with you and Dave Dubrowski. Dave came to me in, I guess, late April or early May and asked if I was available for a trip in June. I guess it's the Sea to Sky bikepacking trip. Starts down in Fallbrook in North County, San Diego, and it works its way up kind of the crest of the Santa Anas up to Highway 74, the Otega Highway, and then works its way down to Orange County, San Onofre, and then back around to Fallbrook via Oceanside. And that was a really fun trip. I had an absolute blast on that trip. That was just a ton of fun. We weren't quite able to escape the June gloom, or I guess we weren't graced by June gloom's presence. I was keeping my fingers crossed that we might get a little bit. We did not, and suffered a little bit on the first day working up to the Duluth area, kind of west of Temecula there. But we persevered, and we made it with a lot of climbing.
Again, for those of you guys watching, that means your bike weighs 55 pounds. It's 100 degrees, and Greg heat acclimates well. So me and Dave were dying. He was not. And I thought I was going to die on the first day. So if you look at my Strava, it says that time we almost died because I felt like I
we did not almost die. We were fine. We were fine.
And the 74 was a alternative to a even crazier portion of the route. So if you go into RWGPS and you're not using our club, you can just search for a ride in your area or any city. Let's say you go to a different city on one of your business trips and you happen to be one of those lucky people that can bring a bike, right? You can just type in RWGPS and do somebody else's route, but you're trusting that that route is good. And there's time where I think we felt like the author of that route was messing with us. One of those shots that he showed where we're climbing up, it's super steep and there's like cactus to our right. That was because we were stuck behind a fence and we're only 15 feet away from the road we needed to be in. And it didn't tell us how to get there. So we had to hop a fence. It looks like other people had done it before us, and the fence was like down an area, and we had to climb up and over this really, really steep embankment. And if you see my video, then I got that all included there. What would you tell someone that's thinking about bike packing?
To do it. It's a ton of fun. Do it. Yeah, do it. It's a really, again, just to reiterate, I know I probably sound like a broken record, but it's a really good way to see the world. You hear all of these accounts of people bikepacking, talking about meeting random people on the road and really benefiting from just the kindness of other people. And we did that on our own trip just recently, Andrew. We got to the top of that climb in Duluth, and we were dry, and I knew that there were horse properties up there, and I was just counting on the kindness of somebody to maybe let us fill our water bottles with their hose. And not only that, we got a nice shady picnic table to eat lunch at, and that was probably the best part of the day. Or one of the best parts of the day anyway, was just sitting there recovering and drinking as much water as we could handle, and it was fun. It was good. So, you get to meet people that you may not normally meet. You get to see the world at a different pace. It's just great. As far as the actual logistics of bikepacking go, I'm still learning a little bit about planning my own routes. I have a little bit of experience with that from trail running and backpacking and stuff like that. But as far as bike specific things, I'm still learning a little bit, and I have some stuff to learn in that regard in terms of planning my own routes. But depending on the route that you do, there definitely could be some wilderness travel, some remote, travel that's associated with that. And with anything like that, there comes some exposure to risk. So having some, experience, being well prepared is a really good thing. So if you're thinking about bikepacking and it's not something that you've ever done, and you've never done anything like it, our places like REI, for instance, offer introductory backpacking classes. An introductory bikepacking class might be a little tougher to come by, but at the very least, if you take one of those classes, you can get some idea about the things that you might need to bring with you to solve problems when you run into when you run into them in these remote areas. So having some sort of an experience with that, I think, is really, really helpful, making sure that you're well prepared. There are great resources out there. Bikepacking.com has pages and pages of introductory articles for people to get into bikepacking.
Yeah. So let me get a comment too. So yes, bikepacking is just like backpacking, but it's on a bike. So did you sleep in a tent? Yes. Well,
I slept in a bivy sack, but
Dave was in a tent. Yeah, we were both in bivvies, which are really small. And like Greg said, there's a bunch of different resources, but we also have just Gravel Pack Riverside. It's a smaller group of us, and most of us have done bike packing and have gone through a couple different iterations. And so you can ask us questions there. But yeah, it's like Greg's saying, all of us have had like a backpacking background. I got big into backpacking and I transferred everything over because I have a bad knee into bike packing. So that same ultralight stuff, you're just putting it on your bike. And those were the pictures of like Greg's bike that was earlier. So tent or bivvies are much smaller. And me and Greg were actually in the same model that's like under a pound. So it just depends on what you want to do there.
And I mean, just being prepared, I think, is the important thing. But that said, for a lot of the bike packs that are here in Southern California, especially some of the ones that Andrew has put together, you're not remote. And there are ways to bail out if something becomes problematic. So, well, I'm not discounting the value of being prepared and going into something like this ready. At the same time, just go. You don't have to have the most expensive bike or the most brand new gear or anything like that. As long as what you have is working and functional, then just go. It's a great way to see the world, and I'm absolutely in love with bikepacking. So
yeah, and all of us have put more time into it. And like Greg said, you can look up in our RBC RWGPS library. I have a lot of them. They're tuned for busy dads like him and me. And I've got some of those so tuned, like Crystal Cove, you can do it in 25 hours exactly. You leave here Friday around 3 p.m. or so. You get out to Crystal Cove. It's harder to get to by foot. So those upper Crystal Cove areas are almost always open. If you go to look for spots right now on the coast, you're going to find that it's hard to come by. So you may want to do Airbnb or hotel, motel, Holiday Inn, as long as you can bring your bike there, simply because of camp spots being less available. And that one, like he said, is also, you have a choice of doing restaurants or bringing your own food or mixing the two. If you ever get in trouble, you're in and out. You're in dirt and then in the city and then in dirt. And we have a couple of them now, one to Doheny, one to Crystal Cove. That's really, really neat. And then you just take the train back, which Eric Lewis, thanks for introducing me into that, because that's just super fun. And then inside jokes, glossary of terms on bikepacking trips.
Well, when you suffer together, you certainly build camaraderie, right? And if you can't suffer with a sense of humor, then that's kind of a shame. So when you are suffering in 100-degree heat, 50 miles into the day, those jokes do come up, and I'm really grateful that both you and Dave have the ability to laugh not only at me but also at yourselves, and it certainly makes things a lot more fun. But they are definitely jokes that nobody would ever get outside of the trip. So I'm confident that now we have things that we can say to each other that will always make each other laugh, but nobody will ever understand.
That is so true. All right, and then I guess we did have time to get to it. One more question before we get to the interactive training. What do you like most about gravel? I think we got one shot of you on the Gage Canal.
Well, you know what? A couple of things. The first of all is I've met a new group of friends who like doing the same thing that I do and have very similar interests. I like being able to discover the unknown parts of my city. I've lived in Riverside since 2002 and never had any idea that parts of Riverside tied together the way that they do. And then the other thing, and I was thinking about this a little bit ago, even since I met you right before the meeting, Andrew, to kind of go over the logistics of this, is as a kid, like riding your bike is like freedom, right? I remember when I was a little kid, we ruled the neighborhood on our bikes. My parents, I don't think ever knew where we were at. They always knew we were together, and I guess that was enough. We had our boundaries of where we were allowed to go, and I think that now I'm far more worried about credit scores and mortgage payments and yard work and stuff like that than I probably should be. But riding a bike, regardless of the type of cycling that you do, is a way to sort of get back into touch with that carefree part of being a kid. And I know that the rides that we do in the gravel pack, where we're coming back, especially this time of year, it's still kind of warm out. We're coming back from the ride. It's just starting to get dark, and you're just flying down the road. And man, it's just that kind of freedom I remember as a kid, and that makes it all worth it. That's the best part of the whole ride right there. So I'm happy to hang on to that part of being a kid and that part of childhood. So
yeah, we do get some cool shots. We ride during magic hour, 6:30 Tuesdays is our intro, and then Thursdays more advanced. But yeah, there's some crazy stuff. Some of you guys don't know this, but there is a Sea-Doo in Riverside that's floating in a body of water, and most people don't know about it. And there may be 50 feet from it if they drive off certain roads.
Yeah.
So just a ton of secret stuff. And same thing, I'm 41. I've been in Riverside most of my life. And it's really through doing this kind of thing that you kind of discover these secret spots. That last picture of Greg and us is off the Gage Canal, where there's like this settling pond. And that's a Gage Canal. And then on the right, there's Moon Nursery there with all these cool plants. And you won't see that unless you ride on a gravel bike. Or a mountain bike in the dirt, but most mountain bikers are going to want something a little bit more techie than flat dirt, which gravel riders love. So thanks for talking with us, Greg, and giving some insight. We're going to go ahead and start that Ride with GPS interactive training while I put him backstage.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So for the ride leaders, this is it. So we're going to do the Ride with GPS interactive training. So what I've done is I'm done a short clip so that I am focused. I walk you through everything, and it's only 2 minutes and 48 seconds. It's going to show you how to sign in to Ride with GPS, even if you've never had an account, and then how you go into and sign into your user. You go into signing in as the club, and then you create the event. After that, it'll be the interactive part. You put a comment, we'll bring that on stage. And then I have a screen that I'll share with Ride with GPS, and I can work through some of those things. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you right now. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If you guys want to do comments, I know some of that went kind of fast. Why did I do some of those like pauses on the hyperlinks up above? It's so that when you're rewatching this, because this is going to be saved, it'll be permanently in Facebook. I'm also having it go to my YouTube. Basically, you can screen cap those. But the short version of this is, like Michelle alluded to earlier, we're going to have like a 3-week transitionary period where we are getting people to not use Facebook anymore because the question is constantly being asked, where is the ride? Where is the ride? So the short version is if you just go to the RBC Ride with GPS events page, that link will always be the same. It doesn't matter if you're A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. Whatever ride, speed, gravel, mountain, or well, we don't have mountain, but gravel or road, that calendar is built in there. And so that whole calendar will show, you click on a day you want to ride and everything will be listed. The route will be listed and it shows all the stats. And I went kind of fast in there, but it even shows you the climbs. And that's kind of one of the big things that everybody tries to. Okay, so I'm going to bring up some comments now. I can get to those comments as I start to share that. So let me see here. Yes, Michelle is asking me, can you do that again and explain what you're doing? So this is the interactive part of the show. So let me get to the comments. So I tried to do it on my phone app, but it doesn't show a way to put a new event in. It only shows the existing events. Yes. So I don't know who this is because it's a Facebook user. So one thing is, and I'm going to show you guys this. So when you go in to Ride with GPS, we have it open and public. So anybody off the street can go to our route library and benefit from that. This may change in the future, but currently this is kind of like a gift to the community. However, if you want to create an event, you have to have privileges because we're not going to have anybody going nimbly bimbly and doing crazy events. So if you are a route leader and you've been given privileges, then you sign in, and I'm going to show you that in a second. Great event, ride calendar. Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and share my screen, share Chrome tab, RBC. All right. So here we have it. Let me make sure that you guys can see everything in my goofy face. All right. So you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. So now I'm me, my goofy self. Okay. So I'm going to sign into the club here. I am now RBC. Dun, dun, dun. And there's route library. So I have admin privileges. I can go in here and edit these. I'm going to start deleting some of these because like this one's unnamed. I don't know what that is. And we got probably some duplicates and stuff in there. But for this, we're going to just click on events. Again, I'm signed in. You can see my icon has changed here. And then you can see these 3 things. So create event, calendar view, and list view. When you go to list view, you get a whole list. It looks a little bit different than it did on the application. Calendar view, of course, shows the days. And then create event will appear. This will only appear if you have membership privileges. I'll show you what it looks like from my admin perspective. So like here, Alan Merrill, look at that, fancy guy, admin, route management, all that kind of stuff. If you're a route leader, this mark will be, let me check somebody here. All right, so like Ed Williams, he is a route manager. He's come up with some of the best gravel routes we got, but this is the privileges that he has. So if you are a route leader and you don't have that, let me know. Michelle Hampton, she's here. Kirk Saska, he does tours. There's Pavlova. So you have route management for those of you guys that are on there. All right, so we're going to go to events. We're going to create an event. A simple event would be if you don't want to put a route, but for most of us, we're going to want to do routes. And like I showed you there, test, what time it starts, say tomorrow, and it automatically defaults to all day. Again, there's no platform that's perfect. So some of these things are kind of goofy. You have to unclick that for whatever reason. So let's say 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now that's a ride. So we're not going to do one that long. We'll say 11 a.m. And then anyone public, you can require. So this is things you guys are probably never going to use. Leave these unchecked here. And I would say always make this public, because you're always going to have someone that needs it and you can send it to them later. So we're going to do save. This, you can add a logo. We tried to do that, but that's not going to be super critical for, you know, route leaders and that kind of thing, because it just looks nice, but we don't really need it. You can go just add a route here, and then you click here and you can start typing. So there's one of the gravel packs, one of the gravel bike pack things here. This will take you a lot longer than this time frame to do this whole ride, because it's like 80 miles in the dirt. But you click add route, and now it appears here, and they can see that. Now you can use this share thing. We're not going to be doing this for the club, but this is a Facebook share. But what I would encourage most route leaders to do is you can share it to your own personal Facebook, and then you're, you know, creating some connectivity between your friends, your family, and kind of introducing them to cycling. And then that's it. It's kind of weird that it doesn't have like a save thing. You can invite participants. This is just this link, and it has this little auto approve thing in there. But now this is, you know, been created. So it's, I know it's weird. It doesn't have a, like a save or anything. So then you just click out of it. Now we go to events, and it should be, oh, maybe I did need to save it. 30th. No, I want to do list view. Maybe I didn't save it. Oh, boo. See, that's why I did it before. I think that's with routes, test, 30th, not all day, 8 a.m., 10, 11 a.m., save, add route, test. I don't know why, and because I'm sharing my screen, I'm missing like a save something. Yeah, it's not letting me save anymore. Well, I think maybe because I'm sharing my screen, it's not doing it for whatever reason, because it's planned June 30th, 3 a.m. This should be saved at the screen. So I don't know if that's what's affecting it. And they told me in order to add an event using your phone, you cannot do it on the app. You have to do it on a web browser from your phone. Oh, that's good looking out there, Bob. Oh, how do you do it in the app? Well, there you go, Chris. You can't. Now, that's not totally true. I mean, it's totally true for the application. So, Chris, for your phone, you would just basically do that. Like I did all the whole video on my iPad, which is running the same software that an iPhone is. So you just sign into your web browser of choice and do it instead of using the app. Again, it's one of those things. I don't know why they're doing that. But for some reason, they don't have it creating events within your phone. For some reason, they're just not allowing that on the application. And even while it's streaming it, there are some things, like I said, that are kind of quirky, because there's no like scroll bar here and it's saying it's saved. But for some reason, because I'm sharing my screen, it's not allowing me to do that. Let me see if I can scroll here and then make sure it's saved. Okay, so I'm going to click save here. Now I know it's saved according to this. I'm going to click here and make sure that it saved it. That's weird. It's still not showing. All right, well, I guess you're going to have to take my word for it. Oh, no, they're right here. I didn't scroll down far enough. That's weird that's not showing. So here are all the test ones that we just did. Yeah, that's weird. But it doesn't have like a page that confirms that it's saved. As long as you do it on your browser, you basically just do create event, you do that, and then June 30th, was it maybe July that I scheduled it for or something? Calendar view. See, it's not showing me the day. So if you're an admin, it's going to do this. where it's wanting me to plus. It's not going to let me view. So let's go to, that's why it's went all the way to the 20th. What the heck? So here's the test. You're going to have to scroll down. It's kind of weird. So we're still going to put feedback, and we're going to probably be contacting RWGPS. You added 2 new events the 30th. Yeah, I know, Bob. I missed it. Good looking out, though. Bob knew it was going down. It was Bob's idea, too, which is a good idea to do that. But, yeah, for some reason, it doesn't have that save thing. That's probably one of my hangups. And then it should say saved or something, I feel like. But as soon as you add the route, it's done. So even on your phone, you're just going to do that create event. You're going to click on it, and then it saved it. So Bob has been sharing these RWGPS events to RBC Facebook. All rides after 3 weeks will stop posting to Facebook. Yeah. So we want to make sure that it's just content that's going to Facebook, so people can do pictures and talking about rides is fine, but we don't want people to be coming to Facebook complaining about how they can't find the ride. We're just going to have one link, and that's it. And that's just the ride with GPS. And I'll show that on the shared page. If you access the calendar from the website, Sadiq has added Ride with GPS calendar to the website. It looks really good. Yeah. So I talked with Sadiq earlier, and I was like, hey, we can embed it. And so basically it takes Ride with GPS and it embeds it into our web page. Let me show you that. But again, I'm going to sign out here just to show you guys. But when we go to the events page, and you can see up here, I'm highlighting it. I'm hoping that shows up. It does not show that on the save screen. That is super lame. Okay, so it's always going to be ridewithgps.com organizations 5058 RBC events. And we're going to have that linked so that literally any day, anytime, it's just one link. That link never changes. It's always going to be that link, and you click on it, and it's going to take you to this full calendar page. How do you delete it? Oh, well, like the ones I just did. You go into the TTT B group Thursday, Miguel Jr. Look at that. All right. So I'm going to go into test. You're going to go into edit event details. Oh, that's a good question. Oh, it's right here, right up at the top, delete event. It cannot be undone. So let's go and clean these up. TTT, delete event. And you can even copy an event. You can see those there. Test. If you wanted to copy this event, you could click it and it would duplicate it. So let's say you had like a big ride you wanted to do. Like, I don't know if Eric Pippins is on this video, but he's going to do a big event, you know, those kind of things. I need to make sure he gets added, and I'll send him a message too. And then it shows, of course, how many people are viewing it. So you can see 33 people viewed this particular one as I'm doing this. So that's good. So basically that is that. Let me go to our Riverside Bicycle Club. Click on home, calendars and rides. We're going to just click on calendar right here. Boom. Look at that. And so it's funny that you can see it looks better embedded on our website, ironically, than it does from the admin page. You can see all these things are here. These should fill in. So we'll have a gravel ride option Tuesday, a gravel ride option on Thursday, and sometimes we'll have gravel ride options on, I got people blowing me up here on my messenger. Oh, geez. Someone sent me a supermarket sweepstakes thing. All right. So that is from our calendar. So again, everything's going to tie back to, I just added the B group right through my browser and it worked well. Chris, great. All right. Very cool, Chris. And the newest events are at the bottom. Yeah. So I guess that's a learning lesson I learned live with you guys right now is if you create an event, it's going to go down to the bottom. And some of those were way back in the days, 2020. I don't know why it sorts that. So I think what we'll do is as we use it, and Michelle complains, then we'll send that feedback to Ride with GPS, and then hopefully they'll fix it, because you guys have seen some things live there that are kind of weird. It's weird that when we create an event, who's going to want to do an all-day cycling event? Not many of us are going to want to do a 24-hour event. I know there's some people out there that do it, but most of us are not going to do it. It ain't going to be me. I still want to, enjoy the ride, even if it's one heck of a ride. But yes, because it's sorted by date, though, why doesn't it sort the newest at the top? There's just weird things that they chose to do. Why does it do an all-day event when you create one? Again, kind of silly. Why not do 8 a.m., 6 a.m. for, a 2-hour window? So we'll probably talk to them. And the more we use it, the more we can say, hey, look, all of our users are using this, and this is what they're telling us. And Ride with GPS has a lot of amazing things going for them. If you guys look in our library, we have a vintage guided route downtown Riverside, and it actually speaks to you. That's good to know that your butt can't handle an all-day ride. Me neither. Ride with GPS can actually do audio turn-by-turn directions, but what a lot of people don't know is it can also do audio points of interest. So it can say, this building was built in 1932. Now, it's a little bit robotic sounding, but it's really, really cool. And it's one of the only apps that can do that in real time while you're riding your bike on your phone. So, and it also works, of course, with any kind of cycling computer. Most of us are using different cycling computers. Ride with GPS works with all of them, and that's why we chose this platform. But it is not perfect. But for events, calendars, everything is going to go in here to that calendar you see there. You can go to our website. It'll be posted in Facebook, and it'll also be in the application. How do you enable that? Good question. So if you guys go in and you're signing in, let me get to that. So if you remember that Ride with GPS, boom. If you remember this page, okay, so when you get here, and let me sign out. If you get here and you sign and you do not see this, you need to be a member of this. And then I'm going to show you where it's at. You just type in Tweed Ride. Here's the one we did. It's only 6 miles and only 123 feet of elevation. We'll go ahead and pop the view. So you have to be a member of Ride with GPS, and you have to be a Ride with GPS member that's in RBC. So you need to ask for that club. So here you see all these little eyes here. These are all little points of interest that it reads with these little custom POIs. And there's some really neat things in here. In this little tiny 8-mile trip, there's like, I want to say 10 or so POIs in it. And all you do is you show up. If you run this application on your phone, you just click on this route and you say navigate to ride, and it'll give you driving directions to get here. And then once you're there in Ride with GPS, because the club is paying for this club ability, as long as your name is in that member list and you've asked to join the RBC Ride with GPS group, it'll do audio turn-by-turn directions. Now, our memberships help pay for this. Our most expensive membership is only $50-something. The Ride with GPS that normally enables turn-by-turn directions via voice is $80. So this only works, the limitation is it only works with our rides, but we have over 200 routes in our library. So it's a great way to make sure that these things, keep happening by joining the club. And also you get a direct benefit that's half of the cost with almost all the rides. And there's more rides than you can shake a stick at just in Riverside. So what's that say? So I think me and Sadiq were both clicking it. So just the point of interest for that ride or all the rides. It's just that ride. It's the first time I ever even knew that it worked. We did the first Tweed ride. You can see some pictures in there. We had one of our amazing members took out she's a professional photographer, and she came out, volunteered her time, which is great, and took pictures of us that were amazing. You can see all those, but the guy who wrote that route is the one who found that when they're built, you can make a custom turn. Let me see here. Let me go in here and edit. So I need to sign in. So, and you'll see the club pages right here when this is like your personal one. So you click here, it'll take you here. You have to sign in. And then if you're a route leader, let's see what those look like. And go to view. And obviously we don't want people editing this one, but if you're wanting to edit your own ride and do this, then you can. When you click on edit, you're going to see one of these. Let me click on one. So this is a custom. Let me find one here. It's hard to see for some reason. I don't know why it's doing that. I think it's just, it really doesn't like that I'm streaming, I guess. So at any rate, Riverside Courthouse, where are the custom terms? Maybe it's these things. One of them should have the date and everything explained in there. And I'm not, of course, going to see it. So I think it's in the name. And now it's not even going to show me that one. Awesome. Now I'm trying to do it. Let me zoom in more, maybe. No. So if you do custom, you can see right here where it says custom queue. This is the button you need to click. So if you wanted to have it read out loud, most people who are riding with us are not doing this kind of tour that has their phone listed like this, and you're listening through your phone. Most of us, you're using like a Garmin or something that doesn't have a speaker. But if you want to do it for your route and you're a route leader, you just click this custom queue here, and RWGPS, when you're running it on your phone, it'll read it out loud, whatever you type. So be good, kids, with that power. Don't do anything naughty. But you could have it say something silly on the ride. So it's only in that route currently, but all of our route leaders have the ability to do it. You just use custom queues, type stuff in there, and it'll work. All right. So any other questions? We went over how to sign in, delete, copy. Let me make sure that we cleaned up here. So I'm going to click out of here and not save and go back to events. Scroll down all the way down here. It looks like all of my stuff. Someone's trying to, my wife is trying to access something here. All right, so Thursday evening C group. I think these are all legit. Okay, so I don't think I messed up anything. I think we got it all. So if you're wanting, whether you're wanting to duplicate, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Whether you're wanting to duplicate a ride or create a ride, it's going to take a little bit of time for all of us to get used to it. But remember, route leaders, I've tried saving a GMR route twice and it still isn't there. All right, well, I'll help you, Michelle. But basically, you have to make sure you go to edit details. So events. Let me see if I can go in here so I don't have to create a test event. So this little thing right here, Michelle, click on this where it shows this. This is an added route. What's funny is you can actually do more than one route. So if you wanted to route people like, hey, we're going to ride up to Jack in the Box, and then, hey, we're going to ride up over here. If you wanted to break it up, you could do that. But basically just click edit event details here. Don't worry, Bob, I'm not going to mess up anything. And then you scroll down. Make sure you click save. You can put any things in here, and you got some other options we're not going to do yet, but we'll probably use in the future. Enable overall segment leaderboard. Maybe we'll put some of those things in there. We can do some cool challenges and that sort of thing. But basically, just hit save here, Michelle, because mine it kept creating them, and then I didn't think it was creating them. So make sure that it is not creating them. Because it may be, and you just didn't see it. All right, so back to events. Let me see if it's in here. Okay, I'm starting to see a whole, okay, now we're getting a whole bunch of the rides being put in. All right, so that is that. Oh, I wasn't sharing my screen when I did that. So, yeah, I didn't share my screen. My bad. All right, share screen one more time. One more time. I know, Bob, you can't see my screen. It's because I turned it off. All right, now you can see my screen. All right. So I went in here for June 2nd. But this is what it would look like. There's this little edit event details page. You click on this, scroll down, and make sure you click save if you think that it's not doing it. Because like I showed before, when I created those, it didn't look like it created the event, but it did. I created 3. If you are worried about it, because it doesn't give you any kind of like, hey, it's saved, just make sure you go to that edit event detail to secure that you did indeed save the event there. And again, we'll be providing feedback to that. So I think we're good. Got any last comments? I'll hang out for a little bit. Bob hasn't put any more smackdown on me. And then, shout out to, where is that picture? Shout out to DJ Sadiq working that turntable in the background and pulling up assets for me so I can focus a little bit more and chase squirrels a little bit less. But again, all the work that goes to these kind of things, doing these events, find out who those are. In that particular case, there was a ton of people that were working behind the scenes to make sure that you had a good ride. I helped with one of the SAG stops. We had, some great people, David and all these other people that were involved. Even if they had like bad backs and stuff, they were helping to make sure that you guys had a SAG stop. Helen, Michelle, Teresa, there's just a ton of people that got involved. So again, say thank you to the people who are running the events for you. Treat your route leaders nicely. That's what makes bicycling within our club so much fun, is that they're coming out with really cool routes for you. And again, we have lots of options. We have gravel, we have road, and there's other subsections where there's like the electrical light parade, downtown Riverside, and then Team Dirty Works does mountain, which is another group that you can join within the city. So until next time, when in doubt, pedal it out.